welcome everyone. We're soon to be throwing off the shackles of a gold developer and become one of the next gold producers. And today we're making a few forward-looking statements, as is customary at such events. So as Eric said, strong management team. Building mines is what we like to do. The team have built 3 in the last 12 years down in Mexico, with, in particular, a focus on heap leach. It's not always about high grade. To me, it's about margin. And I think one of our core competencies is the industry-leading low capital intensity. So, you can make it stretch, the better it is for everyone. We are fully funded to construct our first mine, supported by our largest shareholder, Cisco Gold Royalties, and that own just under 20% of the company. We have 2 assets. We're looking for more. We want this to be a new mid-tier producer, and we think we have not just the team, but the pipeline of assets and ones we're looking at to really grow this company. And the nice thing is, when you have organic production growth, you don't need a rising gold market to have an increasing value proposition. Obviously, if the gold price cooperates as well, it has a very positive compounding effect. I mentioned the Cisco Gold Royalties. We're also supported by 20% of our shares are in the hands of US generalists. I like that because, in many ways it's indicative that we're talking their language, which is focusing on bottom line profitability, and building something from the ground up slowly, at our own pace, for the benefit, hopefully, of all our shareholders. Just around $14 million in cash right now, and this is certainly since I first presented at MIF in May of last year. Received a lot more analyst coverage alongside the supportive writers such as Eric. One of the things I'm really pleased with is how we've performed. We've outperformed the GDXJ, our peer group developers, and the gold price since last summer. And a big part of that is we're one of the few developers that is actually going to throw off that label and become producer. And so I think we're re-rating as a result of that. We also dealt with a very nasty legacy warrant position that came off the stock around June of last year. So we don't have the 83 million that we had last year, and we intend not to have warrants moving forward either. I think we've seen a stock that doesn't have the artificial cap on it from a warrant exercise now for the last 8-9 months, and with that in mind, we've completed 3 successive straight share financings, and a big believer that a company that can finance without issuing warrants, it's certainly indicative of the strength of the company. As I said, we just recently picked Calibrate's excellent Liberty Gold as the best performer out of this peer group since last June. And whilst we've had an impressive move, we certainly expect that to continue, so long as we continue to execute like we have been over the last year. The management team, I won't go and give them the limitations on time and certain news that I'm sure some people want me to talk about. I will stress that the bootstrapping approach that Eric talked about, which is building a mine for roughly 10 million Canadian and then growing it out of cash flow, which we think is very shareholder friendly, is second nature to a team that involves people that have done it before together. This is a cohesive management team that's worked together largely for 12 years. Darren Kernigan is the mine builder. Federico Alvarez is the mine operator. And last but not least, because I think his drilling of today showed he hasn't lost his magic touch, Miguel Cardona is very much responsible for adding the ounces out of cash flow. So we have two projects, they're both in northern Mexico. I'm a fan of northern Mexico. Southern Mexico, a lot of big operations down there, but it's a little bit more of the wild, wild west. And I think you need scale to be able to deal with increased security concerns. We like Sonora. We like Sonora, Durango, Zacatecas is central to northern Mexico with a solid tradition of mining, communities which are very supportive of mining, and state governors that are very supportive of mining too. So the first project, Santana, is about 50 kilometers southwest of Alamos Gold's 1,000-ton bulk heap leach test there. That, with a lot of internal studies, allowed us to make a construction decision, which was funded with a package we put in place with a Cisco at the end of last year. And I think one of the reasons we've had a strong recovery from what was, I'm sure, a brutal first couple of weeks of March for everyone is we had that funding in place. So really nothing actually changed dramatically as a result of what we witnessed in March. We have seen slight delays in Mexico, like a lot of other countries, because of COVID. And I think that's a prudent approach by Mexico. We need to take things seriously. But we're actually still on track to commence mining in Q4 of this year. With first gold coming in. As I mentioned, we're an industry leader in low capital projects. It seems hard to believe that you can build a 25, 30,000 ounce a year starting operation for 10 million Canadian. The team has done that before, and with Santana, we'll show that we can do it again. That's the test mining that was completed. Mine construction actually started in December. We're currently working with the community to complete clearing of the trees from the heap leach pad area. And typically construction with a heap leach is very much earthworks. We haven't been greatly impacted by COVID. There was a federal mandate to make mining a non-essential business for the purposes of being able to work for the last month. That's been extended by the government down there till the end of May. However, for areas like we are in Sonora, as of May 18th, those areas are opening up again. So with our heavy equipment at site, the rest of the construction should commence again at the end of May. Okay, to the news this morning that's had me up for about 6 hours already after a long night of drafting last night. The Santana project is a series of breccia pipes. The first pit and for the mine will actually focus on the area where most historic drilling has taken place, and that is the Nicho pipe. We have been doing a phase 2 program for the last little while. And whilst this isn't a drill play, I like drilling like most of us, I'm sure. I just don't like the cost of drilling. So most of our drilling will be done out of cash flow of the operations, but there was certain drilling we wanted to complete ahead of going into production. And that was because Nicho itself hadn't been completely closed off as an initial pit. So the drilling was really designed to test the outer margins, almost to close off the pipe in certain places, just so we could plan the pit optimization studies. So the drilling we put out today focused on 2 areas in particular, the southwestern extensions, which we did think had the opportunity to expand the main resource, and we were very successful in that regard. We expanded between 50 and 100 meters to the southwest, with grades very much in line with our current modeling of the deposit. And what was particularly gratifying was a hole to the eastern margin actually was targeting the deposit at depth. It's never really been drilled much below 150, 200 meters of depth. And the whole 134 we released this morning, the headline grade of which was 248 meters at 0.6 of a gram, and remained in mineralization when we finished the hole. So there's definitely going to be follow-up of that hole once drilling starts again towards the end of May. And in the meantime, we have some assay results. We're just waiting on the labs to reopen for the remaining holes of the drilling done to date. But we're incredibly encouraged by the drilling at Nicho. But that's just one pipe. And we've identified six, seven more pipes on the property. They're all within a few kilometers of each other. And I was saying in a conference last week, before knowing what results we had this week, that the drilling to focus on was those other pipes, because they're going to dictate whether Santana is just a modest 40, 50,000 ounce areas, or can it be a lot bigger than that? And so we're excited that drilling, and I think that the results to really look for in the second half of the year will be when we drill pipes like Zata, pipes like Gold Ridge. They'll dictate whether Santana can grow still further through additional expansions of the production profile. Our second project is, as Eric said, this is about building a sequence of mines. And the nice thing about Mexico is there is a permitting environment down there, which provides great visibility, about a 12-month permitting time, where you can sequence these mines in order and build a production base out of a series of mines consecutively built. So Fortuna is about a 12-month build. It will need some debt, and we have no problems taking on debt if we're cash flowing at the same, from the first project. From at 1,000, obviously these economics would be greatly improved with high gold prices. And we believe that if gold is to get into a new market and the bottom line. So we don't want to have projects which are marginal and maybe make money at 1,500, 1,600. We want mines which are going to make just a lot more money at those higher prices. This is a 3.5 to 4 gram open pit, 6-to-1 strip ratio, and sub 30 million US capex. We just did this study on a high-grade starter pit with a 5-year life, less than 1 year payback. And the PEA called for all-in sustaining costs that are sub 500 US an ounce. So what does this all mean? We started out a year ago with a goal of reaching 150,000 ounces a year from a sequence of 3 mines, Santana, Fortuna, and a as yet unknown mystery third asset. And the success we've seen at Santana, we actually believe that a series of Santana expansions coupled with Fortuna, we are still looking for third assets, even fourth and fifth assets, because we do want to continue to grow this. All the great producers of today started small. I'm lucky to work with my VPIR, Victoria Vargas, who worked with Kinross Gold when it was a 30,000 ounce a year producer. So the big companies today all did start small, and we think that there's room for another mid-tier gold producer, and we have the team and the asset base to really build something quite significant. Despite the very strong stock performance we've had, we still trade at a discount to our peer group developers. And given that we're one of them that are actually going to go into production, we expect to, further re-rates on the stock so long as we execute. And execution is the key to the company. I'm very proud of, and I think this goes back to when I first introduced the story at MIF in May of last year. It's really important for me that when we say we're going to do something, we do it. And we build a reputation of doing exactly that. And I think that really leads into the support we've had from our shareholders. And big and small, I honestly appreciate each and every one of those shareholders that have supported this company, because whilst we and the fellow panelists today have a great passion for what we do. We can only do it with the support of our share to deliver on what I say that we can do as a company. And we try to be realistic in that guidance. But the result of that, the result of doing what you say you're going to do, has been obviously great support in the marketplace. And we look forward to continuing our record of execution. And what does that mean for this year? Well, Santana's construction will complete sometime around the end of Q3, early Q4, with mining operations to start sometimes later in Q4. And I think at that point we can firmly say that the period of and tag of gold developer is behind us. We will continue exploration this year. We will do a lot more exploration, obviously, when we're spitting out cash flow from the operations. Depending on M&A opportunities that come up, if nothing does, we're still planning for a construction decision at La Fortuna towards the end of the year. That's a one-year build that would see the second mine come on stream about a year after Santana starts up and running. I'm sure there'll probably be some questions afterwards. So with my 15 minutes up, I'll leave it at that. And thank you for taking part in this virtual MIF today.